Welcome back to our coverage desk here at World Tour Singapore. There is more on offer here in Singapore than just the Pro Tour. There's also a calling absolutely chock full with incredible players. Mitch Leslie here with Pankaj Boswani. A rare treat for me, I think, as we jump into this calling final. The bracket also for this calling in Singapore is quite compelling, Pankaj.
And just a reminder to everyone at home, this is a classic constructed only event. So what you're seeing over here, the 7 different heroes represented in the top 8 of Calling Singapore. They battled it out in many classic constructed only rounds. So we're going to break down the bracket for you here, and we're going to be covering the finals, which is between Shoma Yamamura and Michael Feng. Ira on the Shoma side versus Gravy Bones and Michael Feng.
Yeah, I mean, the road here as well. Pretty fascinating here for Shoma Yamamura. Look at the, again, like you mentioned, the variants of different heroes here. There's a Yalva tradie against Shoma Yamamura in the semifinals, and as Ira, he's able to get past that particular hurdle. There's a Fang in the top 8. Florian makes it all the way through. And the names speak for themselves. This grand final might also feature Michael Feng, an absolutely venerable individual in the Flesh and Blood community, but there's also Peter Bedensic out there. Definitely some known names, and some we're yet to see. Great to see Acilio turn up and find this top 8. But as we turn our attention towards this final, we saw both Shoma and Michael Feng bring Ira and Gravy respectively into the Pro Tour. Obviously not quite making a deep run as they would have liked to, but they're running it back here in this grand final.
And they've also gotten through some of the meta players. We spoke about how there are so many dark horses in this top 8, but they also got through a Slippy, each of them. The question is, can Shoma now get over the Gravy Bones, a menace that ended up winning the Pro Tour, being piloted by Michael Feng?
All right, let's jump down to the feature match area and get this calling grand final started. It's Michael Feng representing the United States versus Shoma Yamamura, Pro Tour champion, hailing from Japan. And now, Pankaj, a number of people were fascinated when they realized Shoma was bringing Ira here to World Tour Singapore. Some were hoping we'd see some of the newer tools sort of in that Ira list, but Shoma, ever the traditionalist, has kept it looking pretty similar to what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, I was taking a look at his list, and I was surprised that this looks almost like an Ira list of old, of just a few seasons ago even. There's not too many new cards in here. And before we dive into the list, I do want to point out to everyone back home who maybe haven't been following the Pro Tour coverage over the past few years, these are 2 Pro Tour champions fighting off against each other in the calling finals. Michael Feng, of course, winning Pro Tour Baltimore, and Shoma Yamamura winning Pro Tour Amsterdam just last year.
Yeah, incredible stuff. It is a true battle of heavyweights here as Gravy Bones squares off with Ira. Scarlet Revenger. Looking over towards the equipment suite here for Shoma. We definitely saw a similar look from him earlier. It's going to be Tiger Strike Shuko. Pouncing paws as well for the footwear, and a Mask of Momentum in that head slot.
Tunic as a chess piece, as Iras are very want to go ahead and run. And on Michael Feng, pretty standard equipment loadout against an aggro deck as well. Balance of Justice in the headpiece. Perhaps to maybe combat some tricky Ancestral Empowerment, Mask of Momentum draws on Shoma's side, and Quick Dodge Flexes as well. Very, very good against the aggressive ninja that likes to go wide.
Yeah, definitely not a consideration towards something like Whirling Mist Blossom, which has not found its way into these lists of Shoma, but plenty of ways for this Iris still to be drawing those cards. It's a Compass of Sunken Depths. Michael Feng able to check the top card of his deck. This is in response, of course, to this first Kodachi swing being put forward.
And I want to go ahead and point out the card that Shoma Yamamura has pushed. That's a red.
Even bigger than that.
Red, even bigger than that. That tells us the stance he's trying to take in this matchup. Wants to be the one on the front foot. Wants to be the one fully on the aggressor. Meanwhile, Michael Feng on the other side, turn 0, Quick Dodge Flexes coming out.
Is this not a little early in your estimation?
I think it is. Oh, you pointed out a Whirling Mist Blossom, Mitch. Look at that in the pitch zone. There is a Whirling Mist Blossom in Shoma Yamamura's list, so the Balance of Justice will certainly come into play late on with that. But this Quick Dodge Flexes, you have to wonder, is Michael Feng just stuck on few too many non-block cards?
Quite possibly here. He's definitely concerned about maintaining that life total, so he doesn't feel priced into throwing too many cards in on blocks. And even then, he's reached for a couple. Torrent of Tempo obviously threatening go again on hit here. Prismatic Leyline being joined by the Quick Dodge Flexes, another card obviously into the pitch. And Michael Feng, more than happy here to get active on blocks, of course, in that turn 0. Shoma trying to sneak damage through, but Michael Feng's been around. Yeah, it's not his first rodeo, and he did not want to take anything for free.
And that has to be a massive win if you're a fan of Shoma Yamamura over there, getting rid of the Quick Dodge Flexes on turn 0. Let's see if Michael Feng has a offensive output to come back from that deficit.
It's Call to the Grave right now. Being picked up. To start to fill. The Golden Tipple would allow his graveyard to start to be filled, rather. And that Call to the Grave in the pitch.
Blue Golden Tipple as well, so Gravy Bones will be available to go ahead and play out that Swabi that just entered the graveyard.
Gold token also going to be generated as the yellow was discarded. What? Shoma says no blocks. Michael Feng obviously not surprised. Just one power attack coming in. Mauling Chi, Whirling Mist Blossom, Torrent of Tempo, and there's a lot of power in that hand package.
And Swabi as well, a 3-health ally, while against many other decks, the 3 health can be quite awkward for people to deal with. Often you'll see it soak up 4 to 6 points of damage. Against a ninja, especially a ninja like Ira that gets to really choose the amount of damage he wants to send either at face or at allies, that 3 health can actually be quite convenient for to get rid of, especially when you consider a card like Whirling Mist Blossom.
Something we saw actually in the Armory deck demonstration for Ira was Whirling Mist Blossom used to farm into these allies to draw cards for Alex in that particular scenario. Definitely seemed to be causing Gravy Bones some headaches. Long day for both of these competitors. Michael just trying to achieve that Zen state, despite the fact he's the one facing down the ninja.
As another blue Golden Tipple hits the combat chain. No blocks again from Shoma Yamamura, and this time the gold-baited hook is going to be activated over here. Remember, Michael Feng has created gold on this turn, so this is a risk-free gold-baited hook activation.
And it comes attached to a 6-power body. Maybe this will get Shoma a little bit more interesting in throwing some cardboard in front.
Ira, of course, despite being a ninja, can actually block pretty well. It's a whole bunch of 3 blocks in this hand. If Shoma Yamamura wants to deny Michael Feng that extra gold.
Kind of the player that plied his trade on these more mid-range decks. We also saw Shoma at the Pro Tour on Feature Match playing a much more stately pace of game. Sometimes it was Kodachi for 1, Kodachi for 2, and that would be enough in some cases. This is a hand that converts pretty ferociously on the offense. That is exactly the decision he's wrestling with right now, to give another gold over to Michael Feng.
Rigor Mortis with 1 health. Again, against a ninja, a lot less impressive. Many other decks need to put, you know, a whole action point and a whole card into Rigor Mortis, but Shoma Yamamura with those Kodachis can easily, very efficiently clear that ally.
Yeah, definitely one of the more trivial bodies to shift out of the way. Definitely feels like on a number of different axes, Ira has some natural advantage over Gravy Bones. That's something we've seen over our Pro Tour coverage, is that's not always enough.
And that has to exactly be why Shoma Yamamura has brought Ira to this event, to the Pro Tour, as you pointed out, and this calling itself. You know, he found his success at Pro Tour Amsterdam, bringing in the deck that no one was expecting, the unique angle into what was a 2-deck format at the time. Mostly New and Zen back in the day, and this time it's been a lot of Slippy, a lot of Gravy, and Shoma thinks Ira is the answer to both of them. And clearly, I mean, he's made it to the finals.
Yeah. Yeah, the urge there for Shoma, though, to get in front of that gold-baited hook-activated Rigor Mortis hit. And Kodachi will silence Rigor Mortis for good, at least this copy. Dual threat hit the pitch hit, allow for a torrent of tempo to be developed. And with a +1 bonus from Ira, it's coming in for 6, threatening go again on hit.
And you have to love Shoma's patience over there. Often when you see an ally hit the board on the Gravy side, you start to think about your Mask of Momentum. Can you leverage that ally to give yourself a free Mask of Momentum draw? But that would involve him taking a bunch of damage and giving Michael Feng another gold. He's saying, I'm going to be disciplined. I'm going to give you some blocks, deny you your gold, and just come at you with a 2-card 7. No Mask of Momentum threat at all on this turn. And he's totally fine with that.
Yeah, Michael not fearing a follow-up from Shoma Yamamura there, even though he had that action point refreshed. Looks like some even bigger than that. Sink Below drawn up.
Sink Below, very interesting inclusion as well. Alongside the even bigger than that, 2 cards that kind of don't really play very well with each other. Sink Below implies Shoma wants to be perhaps threatening a little bit of fatigue or be a little bit more defensive. Even bigger than that, the exact opposite.
Exactly. Caught between 2 worlds is Shoma Yamamura, but always finding a way to navigate through, getting the best out of both sides of the coin, offense and defense. Michael Feng here on Oyston, saltwater swell of 2 different color varieties. And he chart the high seas. Plenty to be going on with.
The portside exchange to start off the turn. So Sawbones hit the graveyard, which means both Dead Threads and the Gravy Bones ability are online.
3 gold tokens. Pretty decent spot for Michael Feng to be in. Again, it is about wending through a turn of limitless possibilities. Compass of the Sunken Depths activated. That's a Blood in the Water shown. So both players here. There's some number of defense reactions in the list.
Michael Feng's side, the Blood in the Water can sometimes be a 0 for 6 defense reaction that maybe even draws you a card if you can find a Watery Grave ally at the top of your deck when you cast it. Be exactly what he needs to stave off the offense that Shoma Yamamura is going to want to send at him.
Cracking a gold token will yield us that card we spotted earlier, that Blood in the Water. Big exhale there from Michael Feng.
That means the Saltwater Swell now is blind. Michael Feng is gambling a little bit, trying to find the blue off the top.
Let's see it. Never punished. There it is, Murderous Rabble going into the pitch zone now and Saltwater Swell asking the question of Shoma for at the tune of 3 damage.
And looks like no blocks. Immediately the call from Shoma Yamamura has different plans for this hand, or perhaps maybe wants to save his blocks for a potential goal-baited hook activation.
Yeah. You've got a defense reaction. Your opponent often trying to get a little break point on that gold-baited hook. There is a Swabby in the yard. Here's a Gravy Bones activation. Draw a card, then discard a card. Red Tipple, I believe.
Good sequence of
cards
colors.
are upside down.
Good sequence of colors for the top of Michael Feng's deck. Add the blue right after the Blood in the Water draw for the Swell, and then drawing a red of the Gravy Bones ability.
Thinking on discard here. Golden Tipple also would require a discard, and so Michael Feng's trying to decide what he wants to send away when. Ooh, Blood in the Water is thrown away. And here's a Golden Tipple. Ideally, Michael Feng wants that upside of gold, so held the Oyston for the second discard.
Drawing another card, Shoma Yamamura on his side, perhaps wishing he had a Balance of Justice for the amount of draws Michael Feng has already done this turn.
I think we'll find that his headpiece also pretty adept at drawing cards, under the right circumstances at least. Portside Exchange was what Michael was able to find off that Tipple draw. Maybe not what you want at this stage. At least it does continue to power. I mean, this would, you know, be to the tune of 5 resources that went into the pitch, allowing for a Swabby development and activation. And again, talked about breakpoints with that gold-baited hook. Michael Feng likes the sound of that.
Hook activated. No Death Threads on this turn. Doesn't need it. 7 is the ask from Michael Feng, with the promise of 1 more gold generated if the Swabby connects.
It's the Wim Hof breathing technique coming out of Michael Feng there.
It's a Zen state that you were talking about earlier, Mitch.
I mean, we know how technical this deck is. We saw just how challenging it was to pilot through the later rounds of the Pro Tour. Michael Feng, no stranger to that. No stranger to being in these games. These very high-stakes, high-stress games, and needs to make sure that he is picture-perfect in his decision-making.
Shoma Yamamura completely no blocks that, potentially has different plans for this defense reaction. This is very interesting. Normally you'd think, okay, so he wants to arsenal the defense reaction on his turn. But if his turn involves a Mask of Momentum draw, that can sometimes be awkward. You're not guaranteed that you can actually convert the card off the top of your deck.
And it seems like a relatively reasonable use case for that defense reaction, stopping at an annoying breakpoint of Swabby. You know, if I guess defense reaction could be to try and bait an overextension into a Conqueror of the High Seas and then, you know, deploy that at that time. But first Kodachi scars the hide of Swabby. And the second would do him in with that +1 off Ira's ability.
Which means the third attack, if it is going to the face, will threaten Mask of Momentum.
I guess that's what is being sort of contemplated now. Does Shoma go after Swabby with his second attack, or see what he can fish for and maybe find the guaranteed third hit on the ally? Sensor, Sink Below, even bigger than that.
And even bigger than that is such a question mark. That could be anything. Physical damage has been dealt this turn, so he can go ahead and play that card, look at the top 3 cards of his deck, create a Quicken token, and draw that card.
Pretty nice if that Sensor, for example, could come in with go again. And yeah, like you mentioned, top card of the deck is a complete unknown.
Here's some cheers in the background.
I believe that was when we had our Singaporean contingent up on stage in the, or rather around the feature area perhaps as well, a Pro Tour moment. A lot to be excited about here if you're a Singapore fan at Pro Tour Singapore and the World Tour in general. It's even bigger than that now.
Michael Feng just double-checking that it can be used now, given that the physical damage was dealt to an ally. And yes, indeed, it can.
We're opting 3 first, and then we're revealing the top card of our deck. I see Cut Through, Warmonger's Diplomacy, and a Whelming Gust Wave.
So Cut Through will also be live on this turn because a dagger has dealt damage.
And it satisfies even bigger than that's condition of being more than the amount of damage dealt this turn. 0 for 4, go again, seems good.
So given that Shoma played the even bigger than that here, that means he does not want to follow up the first Kadachi with the second Kadachi, because that would be a waste of the Quicken token. So perhaps wants to deploy the Sensor off the back of the Quicken token as he makes sure he sorts the top of his deck correctly.
Thumbs up. Draw the card up. Get yourself a Quicken token. There's also the question of the Arsenal card here as well. Yeah, okay, hold on. That Cut Through had a go again stapled to it. So instead it's the Sensor getting +1 off Ira, coming in for 6 go again. And a very, well, potentially relevant threat. What do you do? Name Golden Tipple with this card? I don't know what the game plan is there.
Could be Golden Tipple, could be Conqueror if you're afraid of it.
True.
Although if he's going to be set up with a Sync below, maybe he isn't too scared of a Conqueror.
Trigger. Yes.
Sorry, this one.
There's some note paper here. So Feng does not
Conquer
have to
high
figure.
seas.
Conqueror of the
Conquer
High
of the
Seas.
Conquer.
Okay.
I believe Michael Feng's going to put that on under the camera for us as well. Thank you so much, Michael Feng. All the viewers can know what Sensor called. Now, that is a second chain link for Mask of Momentum. Whirling Mist Blossom was what was in Arsenal. Goes into the Swabby.
Goodness. Oh, that is filthy. 1, 2, 3 cards drawn up here by Shoma Yamamura.
And one of those cards was known as well, thanks to the opt from even bigger than that. 3 full cards drawn for Shoma Yamamura. I thought Pot of Greed was a good card. This is a little bit more than that.
Absolutely. There's a Bittering Thorns here to hand. Blue Pouncing Chi picked up. Also, that Cut Through is still lingering and looming in the hand.
Also, Warmonger's Diplomacy, Mitch, can be incredibly backbreaking against Gravy Bones. You ask them to set up allies but not be able to attack with them.
That is a great point. There are some number of non-attack actions there that sort of, you know, portside exchanges or the ones that confer the on-hits, of course, Avastis of the world. Here's Bittering Thorns, promising 4 damage, but also saying, if this hits, his next attack is going to get +1. This could be a really difficult turn. Michael Feng has to batten the hatches now.
Just no blocks after no blocks is the call from Michael Feng. Knows that he won't be able to stop the onslaught of Shoma's ninja attacks. Once again, I just want to go back to Shoma Yamamura's patience, Mitch. On the previous turn, we saw him take the discipline line of go ahead and block a little bit, deny the gold, find his spot, and this is his spot, and boy, is this looking incredible.
Yeah, a filthy, a ridiculous amount of damage sort of threatened this turn.
Oh, yes.
There it is. Warmonger's Diplomacy now. That hurts. Nothing much that Michael can really do. War or peace, buddy? What'll it be? Thinking.
War.
War is going to be chosen. The only actions that Michael Feng can play or activate during his next turn are weapon and attack actions. But remember, if he has a Conqueror of the High Seas, he can't be sending that.
Talk about disruption here. We thought Slippy was the aggressive disruptive deck. Shoma Yamamura showing us he went Sensor into Warmonger's Diplomacy into Michael Feng's Gravy Bones.
Oh, it's in the head. That is so rough. Conqueror of the High Seas. Basically a doorstop for Michael Feng this turn.
all he can do is just send normal attacks. Blue Jittery Bones gonna hit the combat chain to go again, but those allies are completely unplayable thanks to Warmonger's diplomacy.
Again, and ally attacks are not weapon attacks. They're not attack actions either. That is backbreaking.
I mean, you can't even play the allies. So a blue has hit the bin, but you just can't play the allies because those are non-attack actions.
Yeah, it's only attack action, so here comes the Saltwater Swell. What? The only other attack action in Michael's hand that he's legally allowed to play this turn. Shoma hitting him with that 10D underwater Mahjong.
And that was off the back of Michael Feng taking all those licks, the Kodachis, the cut through, the sensor, the Whirling Mist Blossom, which went to the Swabby. But after all that, Michael Feng doesn't even get a functional turn. Passes with 4 resources in the pitch zone.
Scar for a Scar. Not online here for Shoma. Now the sensor, by the looks of things, snag. Another cut through sitting behind. We'll see that in a moment.
Potentially a little bit braked over here. I believe the Arsenal is that sink below from the previous turn. So the cut through can gain go again, but between the sensor and the Scar for a Scar, we'll have to pick one of them to play.
One easy decision for Gomer is to start, as he often will, with a harmonized Kodachi profit toward Michael Feng. And he'll use this moment here to check the graveyard.
So the Scar for a Scar is going to hit the pitch zone. It does cost 0, which means Kodachi will get go again. And remember, on the bright side for Michael Feng, Shoma Yamamura is also under Warmonger's diplomacy, and he declared war, which means there cannot be a follow-up Warmonger's diplomacy on this turn.
That's right. Can't be chaining those together. So that Conqueror stays in the hand. Looks like there was maybe a Swabby or another ally there. No blocks on this first Kodachi hit. Can Shoma threaten another mask trigger on a turn like this? This is pretty straightforward stuff. 2 here with this Kodachi. Neither of them are attractive blocks, but both get Shoma closer to that third hit in the turn.
And typically against non-Syndra ninjas, you're very incentivized to block the second chain link, because it means that you stop the mask momentum chain right there, and you don't need, and you know, if they have tricks, then you can still block the third chain link if you have to. Whereas against Syndra, blocking the second chain link can sometimes feel really bad because you just flick on it anyway, and you still need to block the third link.
Yeah.
Have to see whether Michael Feng wants to maybe commit a card here, or even perhaps a Balance of Justice. Looks like he's going to reach for that.
Guard well, so Balance of Justice won't be blocking anymore, but it does prevent that Kodachi from hitting. Cut through the follow-up. 0 for 4 go again. This one seems a bit more palatable to Michael. He will eat it up. Follow up a sensor to end the chain.
Oh, no.
Now, what if you just were to, I don't know, name the same card again?
I mean, I think Shoma has a pretty good read. Michael Feng just passed with a card in hand and 4 resources floating. Michael Feng has to be considering that. Can you give Shoma this on hit again? Wouldn't he just call the same card like you said, Mitch?
Vasi, Chart, Swabby, Conqueror.
So, of course, with the massive amount of gold that Michael Feng has, he could activate Gravy Bones and discard away the Conqueror if he really wants to.
Vasi. Let's see what he names here as this trigger comes in. Oh, it is just... it just doesn't get any better for Michael Feng. He's obviously already taken a chunk of damage, going down to 11, and yeah, some amount of his hand is, well, not really playable.
For a moment there, it looks like Shoma might have been choosing one of the allies that are in the graveyard. You can just call that with Sensor. He just is the Conqueror of the High Seas. Again, Michael Feng's holding on to this big boat that he would so love to send.
All right, Portside Exchange resolves, though. That did put a Squabby in the graveyard, did generate a gold for Michael Feng, and did allow him to draw. Looks like it was a yellow golden tipple that came his way.
Question is he going to gravy away the Conqueror? Is he just going to try and get that into his arsenal?
Crack of the gold token. Another card to hand. Rigor Mortis.
Easy target to the yellow golden tipple that he drew earlier.
Also an easy target for a Kodachi. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. First, it's the golden tipple. Seeing more cards. Generating more gold.
What if it's another Conqueror?
I don't know if I can, after the day we've had, I don't know if I can handle it. I've asked you.
Blue also has hit the bin for Michael Feng on this turn. It's a port side exchange at the beginning of the turn.
So with the exception of the small wrinkle of the Conqueror of the High Seas being stranded at the shipyard, Michael Feng's still able to do all the other things that Gravy likes to do.
Still able to develop an ally. Dead Threads is also available. A couple of allies have hit the bin this turn. So alongside Dead Threads and the blue in his hand, could go ahead and develop the Chum if he wishes to do so.
Jump across here and see what Shoma's going to be working with. Another even bigger than that here in the hand.
For Michael Feng's sake, I hope it's not another sensor.
Would just be too devious. Pain in the backside there, maybe. Crane Dance. Not an insignificant number of blues in the hand there for Shoma. Sunken Treasure into the pitch allows for Swabby to be developed, and we will stick this on hit on top of our 7-power attack. At this point in the game, that's very significant.
So he chose the Swabby instead of the Chum there. Want to make sure he gets max value. Want to prioritize the higher attack value, but also giving Shoma a nice 3 health ally to potentially farm mask momentum triggers off of.
True that. So it looks like the unknown blue already being put face down. Shoma might be thinking about that on blocks. So far, Shoma has been able to be very disruptive in the vein that we've seen Ira before, wanting to follow those Kodachis up with an on-hit that really makes their opponent squirm. And again, in a game where you can make the correct cold shot off a sensor twice, feels like the game is yours to lose.
He's taking advantage of Gravy Bones' biggest weakness is that Gravy doesn't want to block. Not only does he sometimes have a whole bunch of non-blocks in his hand, he likes to keep big hands. His small hands aren't actually that impressive. They are typically, you play some Moby Blue, maybe a port side exchange, play out an ally. Opponent, especially an opponent like Ira, can deal with that easily. What you want to keep Michael Feng off of is those massive turns where it goes Tipple, Swell, Conqueror, Rigor Mortis, Swing, things like that. And that sensor has done exactly that.
Off kilter, but still very much in this game. Still sticking to the plan. Here's Michael Feng.
Sink Below still in the arsenal for Shoma Yamamura. Can cover up this breakpoint and stop the gold-baited hook on hit.
It's as good a time as any, I feel, to find a defense reaction. But Shoma's tempo with those D reacts has been a little harder to anticipate.
Would also open up the arsenal if he gets a mask of momentum draw on his own turn, which he cannot convert. But of course, with the even bigger than that, he has some level of control over what he draws from mask momentum, and of course, even bigger than that itself.
Yeah, that opt 3. Then draw a card. You can obviously see at least 2 deep to draw the card you want, set up the next one. No block reactions. Sink Below here just to preserve the life total for Shoma. Less interested about the gold generation for Michael.
Down to 15.
As in fairness, he's not been able to make full use of it necessarily.
What's the difference between 3 and 4 gold? Am I right?
Yeah, diminishing returns, right? Surely.
Exactly.
Of course, we jest, folks. Gold, very good. Definitely something you want to sit on a pile of.
At this point, not so much. But when you're at the difference between 1 gold and 0 gold, that's when you really start to feel it on the Gravy Bones side.
So it was a blue pouncing key. Chi, pardon.
Kodachi for 1.
Now, is this one headed at Swabby?
And I believe Shoma sunk away the crane dance to find looking for a scrap. I do think he has managed to put a 1-cost attack, sorry, 1-power attack into his graveyard as a target for looking for a scrap by this point. Plenty of the blocks in Ira, plenty of the blue.
Yeah, it's like blue pain in the backside or something like that. Or
Like a blue crane dance, which
Yeah,
was sunk to
crane
the
dance.
bottom, but you know, cards of that nature.
Which of course would mean that looking for a scrap would then become a 5 go again attack. For a cost of 1, which obviously fits beautifully into Shoma's curve.
For you.
Speaking of which, 4 at you. Says pain in the backside, also threatening another ping of a dagger.
And this is scary because this is a second chain link and Michael Feng has an ally on the board. So if this on-hit goes through, Shoma Yamamura can be guaranteed a Mask of Momentum draw if he just sends a third attack at the Swabby. And for that reason, Michael Feng is respecting it. Looks like Blender Water going to come in, discard the top of the deck, not a Watery Grave ally, so just going to cover up the 4 and prevent the second chain link of Mask of Momentum.
So here's that even bigger than that. First up, Shoma will be opting 3. E-Strike, CNC Sensor.
Oh, talk about more disruption, Mitch. That's the third sensor, and it's also a Command and Conquer as well.
Please don't name Conquer the High Seas. Thank you, Shoma. Just this once. Be reasonable.
Many options for Shoma Yamamura over here. He could top the E-Strike, and off the back of the Quicken token, go ahead and choose draw a card on the E-Strike as the mode and draw the next card, which you would know what it is because you can put it right back there.
That's right.
Off of this opt.
Definitely Shoma is being forced to think ahead a couple of steps. Okay. An Anchor, drag under. Yeah. Call to the grave and a Try the High Seas for Michael. Cards he really needs to keep. He's going to be squirming, though. Here's that Quicken token. Okay, Enlightened Strike. Demonstrate at the top of the deck here, and just send straight on out there. E-Strike, 7. Go again?
Probably draw a card.
Ah, fair. Yes, it is indeed. Draw a card and go again on that Enlightened Strike. Of course, Shoma able to draw into just the card he needed. And conspicuously 2 resources available. Doesn't look like anything to me.
He's only drawn 1 card on this turn, I believe,
Yeah.
off of the even bigger than that.
Yep.
Oh, so and the E-Strike, and the E-Strike. That's the second card. Yes, of course.
Yeah.
So Balance of Justice is available for Michael Feng. Draws into another Call to the Grave. Shoma actually has 3 resources floating. We could potentially see another threat of the Mask of Momentum on this turn. You could go Kodachi into Command and Conquer off of Tunic, which would be absolutely devastating.
Another deep breath here for Michael. He is starting to run out of rope. Can't be blocking all of this stuff, and that's often the situation you're put in against Ira. You will just leak that Kodachi damage. He's also allowed things like Sensor to come in, not blocking for its full value, or just leaving it up to Shoma. Now, though,
Yeah, no blocks.
5 go again, draw a card. No blocks, he says.
Goes all the way down to 5 is Michael Feng.
Oh, yeah, I think you're onto it, Pankaj. Kodachi hit.
No blocks.
No blocks.
Is the Tunic going to be activated, or is it just going to be the Sensor once again?
Trying to get the earlier notice on that. No, it is a Command and Conquer. Now, the life total Michael is at, we are declaring proudly the face is the place. Still some equipment block here for Michael, of course. Dead Threads and Gold-Bladed Hook can soak some of this up. Wasn't the Conquer of the High Seas in Arsenal, was it? You know, the card that he was not able to play for 2 turns because now he's having threatened.
Every turn of the game that Conquer of the High Seas has been pressured one way or the other by Shoma Yamamura. It was 2 sensors in a row into a Command and Conquer. And you know what? I think he opted the other sensor to the top as well. So the following turn, if we get there, he will have a sensor once again. And just to remind everyone, this is the third, potentially the 3rd chain link in a row to hit.
Yeah. Call to the Grave ×2. Anka not blocking. Chart. Probably a card Michael really would like to leverage.
I wonder if he's thinking of potentially using Gravy Bones' ability here to get rid of the Anka
Yeah.
and potentially find a blocking card to help deal with this Command and Conquer a little bit better.
That might be why he just picked up that compass, just to make sure that he would in fact be getting a blocking card out of the exchange.
I love watching when pro players decide to use the compass. Gravy Bones draws so many cards throughout his turn cycle. when do they determine is when they actually need the information on what the top card of the deck is. If you know you're already going to play a golden tipple and draw the card, knowing what the top card is doesn't actually change anything.
What a treat this is. 2 Pro Tour champions throwing down in the calling finals here in Singapore. Shoma with that Ira, but Michael Feng with priority at the moment.
Looks like he was almost going to just gravy with a compass. Looks like that is going to be the case.
Okay.
Going to gravy bones without knowing what the top card is.
Oh, golden tipple. That's a 2 block.
This is interesting now. He kind of wants to get rid of the no block, but that is the only target in his hand currently for the golden tipple. Of course, also has to deal with the command and conquer. Now, silver lining for Michael Feng right now is that Swabby has been untouched. It is still on the field. He can get the value from it. Again, attacked for 7 the previous turn. If he can find a way to block efficiently and do something else with the rest of his hand and attack with the Swabby again, that is a sort of game state that Gravy Bones can absolutely leverage to come back from behind.
But this is virtually a 12 value command and conquer. Sort of attacking the arsenal and threatening to draw a card. So very, very worthwhile. Oh, that's a 2 block, sir.
Oh, he hasn't discarded for the Gravy Bones yet.
True.
Gonna get rid of the Anka and blocking with the golden tipple, so doesn't need to hold off the Anka on his turn.
Gold-baited hook gets there as well. That will account for the entirety of that command and conquer. Shoma, though, not going to get that arsenal off the Mask of Momentum. Michael Feng knows it's going to have to be, I don't know, right about now where he can actually start getting into gear and start being the one that actually asks some questions.
You're absolutely right, Mitch. 4 is such a precarious life total to be at against a ninja with 2 Kodachis, of which often the second one comes in for 2, not even just 1.
So he's cracked some gold. Now it's going to be a compass to peek a little deeper.
It was a yellow. Don't know if it was a golden tipple. It was yellow of some sort.
Saltwater Swell, I think, was the result off that first gold pop. So we just wanted to make sure perhaps that Swell was safe or advisable.
Yeah, it looks like it isn't. So is he going to dig deeper and maybe try and find a blue after that? We saw his Swell early in the game, was a little bit fortunate on that front. Drew into Blood and Water, and then the blind Swell did hit the blue.
This is a tough decision. There's a lot of sort of objectives here for Michael Feng. Obviously, keeping Swabby in play is great, but he's expensive to swing with. 2 resources doesn't always come easy. And even then, it may not account for enough of Shoma's life total to actually tempt him into a block, even with a gold-baited hook activation on that breakpoint.
You also want to progress the game state a little bit. Just attacking with Swabby isn't going to be enough. Michael Feng is trying to sequence a turn where he gets to resolve an ally and also attack with the Swabby.
Call to the Grave always going to make a player tank a little bit because there's a myriad of options that he can pull from his deck and throw into the graveyard. What will it be?
It also is the blue card for Michael Feng to hit the graveyard.
Fiddler's Green.
Ooh.
Okay. Michael Feng wants to gain a little bit of life. 3 life off that play. Functionally a Sigil of Solace at action speed there for Michael Feng.
And is a blue that hits the graveyard as well. The Call to the Grave is going to go there, and Michael Feng can play the watery grave cards that currently face up in his bin. Fiddler's Green, a relatively recent inclusion in these Gravy Bones lists, a cheeky one-off. Often off of Gravy Bones' ability, or a Call to the Grave like this can just suddenly, as you said, find you a Sigil of Solace from your deck. And we just spoke about how 4 is such a precarious life total against Kodachis. Michael Feng now back up to 7, showing us he's still very much in this game.
Gold token activation now. So those objectives starting to be satisfied. That's a blue. Michael Feng gets a blue in the graveyard. He gains himself 3 life. Plenty of allies to call upon. And plenty of gold there just to go through. What is he looking for? Another blue, potentially. Or a red Swell.
He needs this to hit to play the Conqueror in his arsenal.
That hurts. Saltwater Swell is going to be able to come forward here, but Michael Feng needed those extra resources.
2 floating. Yes.
2 resources floating. Yeah, that would have allowed him to go up to at least 4, up to 5, of course, with the blue in pitch. Now, though, it's just a Saltwater Swell into Swabby swing.
He could play Rigor Mortis first as well, and then use Dead Threads to then attack with the Swabby. Perhaps maybe he wants to resolve Sawbones instead?
Well, he's burnt through all his gold, so he says, maybe I just need Oyston to come and pump those coffers up a little bit more. Here comes Swappy after Oyston joins him.
Then for Simon, man, if that Saltwater Swell had hit, I think he would have been able to threaten lethal on this turn out of nowhere.
My goodness, yeah, that would have been pretty ridiculous. No, you're right, it's a lethal being threatened that's important. Shoma obviously is not playing on an arsenal. Oh, definitely. Yeah, unlikely we're going to see 3 more turns in this game. So the final Spring Tunic on no counters so far. And Shoma wanting to preserve that life total, the soul of a mid-range player. Never truly leaves him.
Also, very importantly, I mean, Michael Feng is now on 0 gold. So that block of the on-hit wasn't just preventing an extra gold from Michael Feng. It also destroyed the gold-baited hook because Michael Feng had not created any gold on that turn. So I wonder whether Shoma Yamamura can now potentially just starve Michael Feng of gold for the rest of the game.
Censor the follow-up after both Kodachis, and trapped in the arsenal is Conqueror of the High Seas. You've got to, I mean, at this point, if you're Michael, you've got to laugh.
Not only just trapped in Arsenal, Mitch, trapped in hand
What?
for Michael Feng, I believe, are 2 non-blocks, and without any gold, it means he can't get rid of those allies that are stuck in his hand.
Yeah, Michael Feng able to gain that 3 life off the Fiddler's Green last turn, but this still doesn't seem to have simplified things. You're dead right, Pankage. 2 allies in the hand. Murderous Rebel and Avasti, the only cards that could get there on blocking duty. And then what is Michael Feng supposed to do if he loses those blues? Not a thing. He has to let this hit.
Can we just talk about how he finally found the 2 blues to attack with the Conqueror of the High Seas, but they're both being pressured because he has no gold to get rid of the non-blocks?
No blocks. Mask of Momentum, of course, triggered.
Close and trigger. Golden tipple? No. Draw, then trigger. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Conqueror of High Seas.
Oh, I mean, like it could have been any other option there. Conqueror of the High Seas will remain waterlogged, and Michael Feng's ladder never to emerge. But here's the upside for Michael. Because he keeps that hand, there is plenty that he can do. But having to pitch an ally never feels great means Michael couldn't clear them from the hand. So Rigor Mortis comes out with go again and threatens to create a gold token.
And that could be a very crucial gold token indeed, while Michael Feng is currently sitting on 0 gold. We saw Shoma Yamamura starve him of gold on the previous turn, recognizing that vulnerability from Michael Feng, popping all his gold offensively like that. And at this point, you have to wonder, can Mask Momentum just be blocked with? Michael Feng's at 2.
And Shoma's also now just started to block a bit more aggressively. So threatening that trigger. And then he did in the last turn. He got a Enlightened Strike, which is pretty nice find into the arsenal. It might have just overstayed its usefulness a little bit.
Maybe we see a dual threat as well. And yes, Shoma Yamamura says, I'm done with these equipment pieces. You are at 2. I'm just going to try and slam the door on you and not give you a way out by letting you have this gold.
Shoma Yamamura is so good at Flesh and Blood.
Yeah, here he's a PT champ.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
Yes. Can't miss that one. Michael Feng as well. This is why it's such an exciting game. Just heavyweights of the Flesh and Blood world.
I'll pick up your copies of Sensor already. I'm so impressed with the way Shoma Yamamura has been able to leverage that card.
Also, though, it takes the pilot also to make the right call to just keep naming that Conqueror. Sawbones. Tapped. Kodachi damage. Likely prevented here.
Which means he hasn't hit with a dagger this turn, so if he has a copy of Cut Through that is currently not live, would need the second Kodachi to hit.
Oh, sorry, that was a pain in the backside.
Going for 4. Oh, what a cheeky 4 here.
That'll satisfy the dagger hit condition. Yeah, Michael.
Also, if it touches Michael, he would have died because it's an extra damage, so he actually had to cover up the 4 completely.
Oh, he's in the blender. And we know what it's like. Harmonized Kodachi now. All of these breakpoints represent really painful scenarios, and there is the Enlightened Strike that comes in. Shoma likely naming 7 power here.
And at this point, you have to wonder, can Michael Feng even block this? He doesn't have any gold to filter.
Didn't quite see the card that was picked up. The hand looks... Well, we got value out of Conquer the High Seas this game, Pankaj.
Okay, well, his hand did block, so we are going to go to another turn, but however, I mean, Michael Feng's at 1 against Kodachi's. He does have a Sawbones, so at least the first Kodachi can be prevented. Question is, can he stop the rest of the onslaught?
Oyston probably overlooked here by Shoma. Clattering into the red zone to the tune of 3 damage.
I want to point out Shoma Yamamura's feat equipment over here. When your opponent is at 1, you get this cheeky line where you get to go Kodachi, pouncing paws for a Tiger. The Tiger gets +1 from Ira, and then you Kodachi again for another 1. So just off of that play, he's going to force 2 cards from Michael Feng. The first one will be prevented by Sawbones, but the next 2, the Tiger and the Kodachi, both need to be given actual cards to be blocked with.
Yeah, very much. And this is exactly what we mean when we refer to a player being Kodachi locked. This is... Well, this is definitely not a bastardization of that term. It's exactly what Michael Feng is dealing with. No blocks, sink below. See what Shoma sitting on a dual threat and a pain in the backside.
Does he have a blue to start swinging Kodachis? Is that what he's potentially sinking?
Yeah, possibly.
Trying to find the blue? It looks
Yeah,
like
cut
he doesn't
through.
have a blue.
Has he got a blue? No, Command and Conquer picked up. Shoma, poised to end Michael Feng, finds a little bit of a stumble. The deck not quite cooperating here. So his opponent will live at 1. But...
So you can still go 3 into 7, or you could go 3 into 1 into 6. Both very viable options.
Did the barkeep. Obviously, you can't be allowing this pain in the backside to hit. Okay, there it is. The power. Yeah. Pouncing Paws activated. Crouching Tiger comes in, offering Shoma a virtual sidestep here.
So that will just force out the Sawbones tap.
CNC.
Can Michael Feng block this? He does run blood in the water.
Okay, well, he's going to have to get this hand out in front. But look, there's a non-block in the hand. Golden Tipple only blocks for 2. Tries to peek, see if there's anything else to work with. 1 life for Shoma Yamamura. And the look on his face, it's a glum one. The hand extended. Michael Feng concedes. Shoma Yamamura has become your calling Singapore champion.
And what a fantastic match between 2 Pro Tour champions. In the end, Shoma Yamamura takes it out on top, and that was in convincing fashion, Mitch, if I have to say. He's showing us why Ira was his pick for this Pro Tour, where Gravy Bones was looking to be a little bit of a menace in the meta.
And I think he's just been informed that Conqueror of the High Seas was sat gumming up the works for Michael. I'm glad Michael with a good grace to say, you made a great call here. That punished me very much. And I tell you what, as part of our World Tour Singapore, we were treated to an incredible final here in this calling championship match. 2 Pro Tour champions of yesteryear throwing down, showing they still got it. But it's Shoma Yamamura that comes up with the goods on that Ira list that everyone was so curious to see what he was bringing in. Ton of fun to bring you guys that game. Great to be in the booth with you, Pankaj, as well. Always a pleasure. And thank you for joining us here on coverage all across the weekend at World Tour Singapore. Hopefully we'll see you sooner rather than later.